Hello and welcome to Married2Autism. Boundaries and trying to set them. That's what I'm struggling with at the moment. And this is not a video where I give an answer to the why-fors, because I actually have no idea why I cannot set boundaries and have them adhered to. And if you're on the spectrum and you know the answer to this, please feel free to tell me, because I really struggle with this one. I struggle to understand it. And if you're married to somebody who isn't on the spectrum, a neurotypical marriage, and this also occurs, please drop a comment below, because I'd like to know, is this something that happens in all marriages or just in particular with people who are on the spectrum? And so, as you know, if you watched any of my previous videos, I like to give examples of how these things play out, because it's one thing to say that they happen and a whole other to give an actual outline of what that looks like. Now, even though your situation might be different to mine, you might still be having boundary issues, but different boundary issues. So, gardening. And of course I've made a video about this before, but as is typical in these situations, it's ongoing. It's not like you just have one discussion or one something and then it's finished. And again, I mean, maybe this is all marriages. So when he moved in with me into my house, immediately he started to try and dictate to me what I could and couldn't do with my own garden, which I could not understand. Like, who does that? Who moves in with somebody and then tries to control them like that? And what was his motive and reasoning behind it? Weird. So when we moved here, I insisted to him, well, we made a bargain that I have 90% of the outside garden and he have 90% of the house. So all the furnishing and everything, colours and whatever inside the house is to his liking, not at all to mine, because I conceded, you do what you want to do, so long as you let me do what I want to do in the garden. And granted, my gardening style isn't for everyone. It's like jungle, cross bush, cross cottage garden. I like to let the plants, lose their leaves and all that mulch lands on the dirt, and then just the plants barely need watering. They're just thriving here, living how they would if they were out in the wild and looking after themselves and nobody was ever watering the forest, for example. So it's not very neat, but I like it that way. And people have come along and said, I like how you kind of fight your way through and you get to this area and wow, and and there's all these little different areas and pockets and interesting things to see. Considering it's a small garden, it's pretty miraculous. And of course he dislikes that because he likes order. And we have these perpetual, annual conversations where he'll be like, can I prune the lemon tree? No, you cannot, because it's about to fruit. You can't prune it before it fruits or we'll have no fruit. Next year, same question, same response. Can I pull out the chamomile? No, you can't pull out the chamomile. If you pull it out now before it flowers and seeds, it won't have any next year. Can I pull out the parsley? No, you can't pull out the parsley because it needs to flower and seed so that I have some next year. And the poppies and the da-da-da-da-da. Over and over, on and on, till death do we part, I guess. He can't just leave me the garden and leave me in happy... Anyway, he just can't let me just enjoy it. And so he went away to Queensland, giant 4-week drive from the very bottom of Australia to the very top of Australia. And he said, do I mind if he goes? No, I don't mind. You go and do this adventure, work hard. You deserve a bit of a relax and a treat. And so for 4 weeks it was peace and quiet and lovely here. So yes, I did have an ulterior motive to saying yes. And as soon as he gets back, he goes and he's outside doing something in the garden, and I'm out there and I can hear him and he's grumbling. He's grumbling for a rat. I walk inside. I'm not having this conversation with him. And then he's grumbling over something else. He's grumbling over something else. This is going on for several weeks. And I'm like, you left 90% of the garden to me. You shouldn't even be having any kind of say or grumbles or anything about it. But he is. Anyway, there's one plant that grows profusely over the path, so he trims that back. And I thought I was doing a good thing by saying to him, oh, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate that. Like trying to give him a compliment instead of attacking him for touching the garden. Yes, and did I live to regret that? Not 5 minutes later, he's moved to the other side of the garden where I'm trying to grow a hedge, like an actual plant that you trim and neat and it's all, And I go there and he's cut it back so that all the sticks are showing and there's no green. And I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, so I try not to say anything because I didn't want to just explode, even though I really felt down in the moment, because he'd pruned it back heavily the year before and it had taken so long to grow back that I thought it was dead. So finally it's got green on it and he's repeated the process of chopping this thing back. So later on, once I've calmed down and I know that I'm not going to snap at him, I said to him, I'm a bit annoyed about that, you cutting that plant, because I'm trying to grow it as a hedge, to which he says, and I wish I was joking, oh, why didn't you tell me? And the reason why I say I wish he was joking is because we have this conversation every year. He even went out and bought a hedger, one of their little electric things that goes, cuts the plant, because he didn't want to have to do it manually, which, whatevs, my garden, I don't care. Anyway, he goes and buys himself an electric hedger. So he knows that I want it to be a hedge. I told him that. He went and bought a tool specifically for it. And here he is going, why didn't you tell me that? And I just bring me the nearest brick wall, please. Dude. And this is the thing, we agreed. I have 90% of the garden. It's mine, it's not yours. Be quiet, let me enjoy it, But he can't just let me enjoy it. Anyway, a couple of weeks after he comes back from Queensland, we're sitting around with the boys and such, the kids, and having a bit of a snags on the barbie outside. And he's grumbling again about the garden. And I say in front of everyone, look, you had Queensland. I didn't bat an eyelid. You were gone for 4 whole weeks, doing your own thing, camping, travelling across Australia. I let you have that without complaint, Just please, let me have the garden. And you say nothing. Why is it gotta be that hard? And this is the thing, is I just don't understand it. Why bargain with me? Why allow me to have this boundary? Or at least pretend to allow me to have this boundary, just to perpetually break it. Constantly, every 3 months or so, he's out there bagging the garden and telling me what a crap job he's done. I'm doing, sorry. And this is a guy who, when I moved into his place, he had no garden. It was just lawn, and it was dead lawn, to be honest. He knows very little about gardening, constantly trying to point out to me that I failed in mine. And just pulling things out when I don't want him to. Like he said to me a couple of years back, I'm going to pull out the parsley. And I said, no, don't pull out the parsley. It hasn't seeded yet. If you pull it out now, we'll have none. And I literally walked past a window and there he is pulling out the parsley minutes after I said not to. Boundary out the window, does not care. And this is what I mean. For the life of me, I cannot understand why people on the spectrum can't respect boundaries. What is it about it that... Is it like a memory thing? Is it like a... you're wrong and I'm right? I don't want to let you have this. Please, somebody, explain this to me, because it just does my head in. And it isn't just the garden, obviously. There's boundaries broken around sex and intimacy and foreplay, the pets, driving, cooking, food, the kids. Did I say the pups? The pups. Like, just constant boundary breaking at every turn, and I have no idea how to actually set a boundary and make it that he sticks to it. Like, how? I mean, I almost feel, and I have done this at times, locking the back door with a key, and then I hide the key so that he can't actually open the back doors to, one, go out and touch the garden, and two, let the pups in when I don't want them in. So, just silly. But anyway, comment below, can you relate? Have you got any kind of resolution for this? A suggestion on how we can make them, help them stick to these boundaries? Why is it such a big struggle? Anyway, comment below. Love to hear from you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.